Welcome back to Paigeforge. Today we're going to be going over the import desk and we are going to hop right into it. So from library, you're going to click import desk and import a folder is going to come up with this little menu from the top. If you're in anti-gravity, it kind of comes in the center more and it says import manuscript file or folder. So if you have perhaps like something that you've worked on that is all chapters in one file, you're going to click the top one. Otherwise, you're going to import a folder of files. So we're going to do folder first, and then we'll go back and we'll do a example of doing the manuscript all in one. So I'm just going to navigate here. Oops, I forgot I moved it to make it easier on myself. So we're going to use this folder. It's going to pull the name from the folder name or the manuscript name. This is a standalone, so I'm going to choose that. We are going to see here, choose cover. So I'm going to grab one of the demo covers and we're just going to go with this one. Okay, so we have the cover and this is a standalone. Pen name is fine, so we're going to go ahead and click import. And now we are going to confirm what everything is and where it belongs. So this is actually a story Bible. And we are going to file. So it's going to go to the story Bible folder. And everything else, this is the outline. These are all chapters. It will pull the chapter. If you have something named like the arrival or something like that, it will use that as the title instead of the chapter. But if it's just called chapters, then it pulls in that. And so we're going to go ahead and file 10 files. And now it says tidy up imported text. So depending on where you're exporting from, it might have some unintentional like backslashes and different formatting glitches. So I'm just going to go ahead and say apply the tick to fixes. Great. And we are going to open the book. So we're going to go to library and select it from here. So we have 8 chapters. Here is the outline. Story Bible shows the story Bible. And if we click in, we've got the story Bible right here. And then we have some placeholder files for other things if you want to use them upon like working for them later on. And but here we come in here, we have the entire chapter and the italics are now correct. And then this is from the actual import. So if this was an issue, you would just go ahead and do that and then you would be ready to go. And everything from here is normal business. So you can do highlights, you can send something to Timeline, Canon, or Remember. You can copy something for AI, or the easier, honestly, instead of doing the copy for AI is if you do the markdown trick. So this opens an external markdown area right here, and then it does a hide of the side panels. And actually I want to hide this one too, just to give a little bit more room. And we'll rehide that guy. And so right here, if you're in Claude, and honestly, I would say this goes for the majority of them. I did a test of this the other day, but it goes for the majority of them. But especially with Claude, if you have a area, like right here, it says one line is selected. So it doesn't just know what file you're in, it actually knows what you've highlighted. So if I wanted to actually have it just immediately rewrite this, instead of doing the tagging, you can just do the open markdown to the side. And then you can select what you want changed, and Claude will know what lines you have selected and changed. And I know Abacus definitely read this, and I think Codex was possibly the only one that didn't necessarily know. The only thing that I was like a little bit annoyed with personally was that I think Claude is the only one that like actually tells you that it knows it has context. So that's just something to think about. But generally most of the agents knew what file was open if you were doing edits. And a lot of them, if you have something selected and like highlighted, it will know that too. And it will look at that as context first. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and close out of this. One thing you do need to be a little bit careful of is if you have opened a markdown and then you just close it. As far as Claude is concerned, or the other AIs, that file is still open. If you have it asking to do like something else, it definitely will after looking at that file. But in Claude, again, like it's the only one that's like really clear and like a good UI for this is you can just select 3 lines selected, and it will then hide it from Claude, so it won't look at those 3 lines immediately. So that's just a little tip there. And then if we pull back out here and go back into Import Desk, we are now going to import a manuscript file. Downloads, this is called manuscript. And I'm just going to give it this. I'm not going to worry about an image. It is also standalone, and we're going to go to import. And now I get to choose where these go. And it pulled all of my chapters for me. And there was no like front matter or back matter because this was just the manuscript itself. And so everything looks good here. Oh, really quickly, the actions. You have file, archive, and delete from batch. Delete from batch doesn't delete anything from your source folder. It just doesn't actually import that in. Archive does import it in. It just goes into an archive folder, a special archive folder, instead of into like the main book. So this is great if maybe you have like multiple versions of a story Bible. You want to keep the other versions, but you don't necessarily want that in your like main working space. You can use archive instead of delete. So just a real quick thing there. And then we're going to file. There were no issues to clean up, so we are good there. And if we come back to library, now we have Empath and Incubus, and we also have Kaelis. And if I look here, I've got all my 19 chapters. And if I open this in, it pulls the POV, because this was actually something really important, is that these were dual POV. So I had the character POV as a subtitle, so that is pulled here. And this is the chapter title, as I didn't have them. Honestly, I think that that is, to some degree, depending on the book, a kind of tell. Is AI loves naming like every single chapter. And I think like if there isn't kind of like a clever reason for it or like a naming convention, it doesn't really add anything usually to the reader experience. And as a formatter, having chapter titles, if you do have chapter titles, try and keep them the same length. Otherwise, that like chapter page is going to look wonky. And so that's another reason I don't do it, is for aesthetics, literally. But we have all of our chapters. And if I pull back out here, you can see I've got all of my chapters, and it pulled the POV for each one. So, oh, and that's interesting, is that there was a little odd little line there. And so that is it for the import desk, which is ridiculous that this has taken so long to film when it's this simple, but I kept finding little glitches here and there, and so that is why this took so long. Okay, and I will see you in the next video where we actually go over starting from scratch with the Paigeforge and a new project instead of working in an existing one. I will see you there.